Right, good evening everybody. It is System Chalk here with the 73rd episode of the Apostle Obsonate playthrough as Ike Upscribe. We've been working on preparing for our next batch of expeditions. We've already got a Callagine searching out the city. Now, one of the challenges we have right now is it would be nice to get another location in the Lone and Level Sands. And unfortunately, we need fascination for that. Generating fascination right now is going to lead me to a state where I lose the game. So what we need to do is we need to get rid of the current season of visions, the trembling in the air. The sun flickers like a shadow, dreams ripple behind the surface of mirrors. I must be careful not to drift from the waking world. We need to redirect that energy into studying the secret histories. That doesn't mean that we don't go on the expeditions, but it would be nice to be able to have one last location to plunder before I go too far in. Once we've dealt with all of that, we're going to wind up spinning off a bunch of notoriety, which means I can't go to Glover and Glover anymore, but that's fine because we've got a pretty solid financial base. So we are going to keep going to Glover and Glover simply because I don't have a second summon to send out on the expeditions. I could probably handle it with most of my followers, but with that in mind... Wait a minute, where did Neville go? Apparently hanging out with... Well, this is the edge, which doesn't make any sense at all. But we've sorted it all out now. But yeah, in any case, it's very likely that I'll be able to send my followers out and handle most of what comes up, but it is kind of helpful just to have a couple of summons, and it gives me a reason to just sort of hang around for a little bit and get some other work done. So we'll go back to Glover and Glover just because we know we're not generating any notoriety, but the focus is really going to be on earning those earning those different, earning those summons, earning that influence, and if I can, mitigating the effects of the Season of Visions, although that's going to be a little bit of a longer term goal. I think the best way for me to get the fascination is going to be by visiting Street Strange by Moonlight. If anything, it'll also generate some influence for me. But that's a sort of down the road concern. That's not something that's going to be happening right away. So we have plenty of options available to us. It's just a question in terms of when certain things are happening. Okay, time passes. We've got the Season of Ardors coming up, so if I had a dread, I would actually want to keep it to get rid of the fascination, but we'll have a contentment that comes out of that, no matter what. Okay, the Fortune Teller doesn't really do anything for me right now. Again, it's somebody I could send out on an expedition, but I don't really need to spend the money on it, and to be honest, 5 Lantern is nice, but it's not necessarily, like, you know, I've got Cat Caro, right? I've got Pope Clifton, Cat Caro, and Slee. I've got 15 Lantern. It's really hard to see how anything other than the 2 that I currently have, and they don't really have... I don't think I have any wounds on my Lantern followers, so it's not like I'm trying to preserve them either. In the worst case scenario, we just wait 2 more minutes for the Delightful Blood to expire. That would be kind of crummy. You know, it'd be nice if we could get the fascination dealt with a little bit sooner. But that is an option that's available. We'll let the Callagine run. And yeah, we got the balked message. However, we do have the dream slot open. So let's have a chat with Gearby or some other equivalent. Now again, we can't go to the Painted River because that will potentially generate fascination. But we will potentially get some influences depending on what comes up on the other sections. No real point in doing the study verb right now. I mean, one thing I could do would be maybe generate some vitality out of my health. If I wanted to try and provoke a restlessness, I could try my passion, which is moth aspect, and so may generate old and happy far off things. But I kind of feel like the Callagine's already handling that, and I don't really need the Glimmering or the Erudition right now, so we'll just leave it open. I may do a commission, though. Won't take me that long. Sadly, it's all very substantial or just regular, so... I review tidy columns of figures in a tidy 5th floor room. From my office window, I can see the river. My secretary brings me a hot drink every 59 minutes. The river is the color of rain. Actually, a hot drink sounds really good right now. I didn't get my tea before I started this. Not important for you to know, though. Sorry, this isn't a blog. This is Cultist Simulator. Let's see what else we're up to. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure that I didn't have anything hiding in the background for me to work with. Unfortunately, no. We're really just running things through. So, I'll do the secret histories. There's no major argument for doing it other than just kind of clearing it out of the queue. So the Spintrea is something I'll be able to sell at Oriflamme's for money if I need to. It's mostly just, though, to see if I can draw from the deck again and get a bronze Spintrea. At this point, there may be an argument for just going to the Peacock Door as well, but it would be nice to get something to do a summoning with. Alright, so if it's a season of... Okay, it's a season of suspicion. I was going to say, if it's a season of despair coming up, I'm going to be particularly annoyed, but if not, I must be careful of the company I keep. So we'll send the Callagine out again. I'm safe for now. My adversary has not enough evidence to bring a case against me, and they found no new clues. Okay, so a Trembling Heat. This would have been good for summoning the Callagine. So the question is there anything else that I can summon with that? And to be honest... There might be, but I'm not 100% sure. So let's go for the Ascent of Knives. Grail. Well, it's not exactly what I would have wanted, but I can make this work. The Ascent of Knives is called the Sharp Stair and the Mother of Mirrors and the Feast of the Grail. If one is to look beneath the stair, as I did last night in my dreams, one understands that last name. It draws a tithe of blood from the feet of those who ascend. And Pausai, some shaped like men, many shaped like women, wait beneath the glass of the stairs to satisfy their hunger. I did not approach, I made no sound, I only observed. So, the reason, if I seem a little hesitant about the Grail, it's not that there's anything inherently bad about Grail. It's really, if anything, Grail's great. But it's just that I've got the Cyprians, right? So adding Rhaenyra or Saliba to an expedition basically means I automatically pass. Well, I'm sorry, I don't automatically pass, but I automatically have the highest level that I can get to affect the outcome. And so... it would be nice if I'd get something like Edge or Winter or, you know, Lantern. These are things that I can sort of work with. Heart would be great too, although I think I can't get... I don't believe I can get Lantern or Heart from the Sharp Stair. So, you know, it's just the sort of thing where, you know, I'll be able to make use of this. I'm still going to Glover and Glover. Actually, come to think of it, if I let the Urgency of Appetite decay, it may not be worth it. I didn't really time that out properly, but that's fine. We'll be going to the... we'll be going back to the Mansis. The good news is I'm going to know whether or not the summoning is going to do what I want by the time, by the time the number comes up. So I received the currency of the secret world, and my patron has let tantalizing information slip. So in 6 seconds, that'll get rid of the Season of Visions. And not a moment too soon, we've got a Season of Despair coming up. There we go. And now we can start thinking about how we generate Fascination, which again is going to be through Street Strange by Moonlight. That's going to be nice because we potentially generate Knock with that. Oh, but we've got the Subtle Rupture. So geometry contorts, doors burst open, snakes boil from the earth. In my sleep, I ran my fingers along the ridged edges of the stag door scars. Our company it was that shattered it, Girby says suddenly. Before the gods who were flesh, the Mansis was forbidden to mortals. We were the first no. He begins again to weep his molten tears. I wish that we had not. I wish I had died in the world. I've forgotten what else he said, but I remember the shape of the fissures in the stag door, and for all of today, doors will fear my touch. All right, so we'll just let the Grail run by. There's really no reason for me to pursue it all that aggressively now, and we'll use the Wildering Mirror. We are short on Bronze Spintrea, but there's no point in, avoiding the place which is going to have the lore that I want. So in this particular case here, I don't have anything to worry about Fascination. I want to generate Fascination, if anything. But I feel like it's better for me to attempt that through Street Strange by Moonlight, which we'll find if we hit the, if we just use the good old-fashioned shoe leather or whatever passes for shoes for the Callagine. And of course, with the second summoning, that explore verb is going to get taken up with the expeditions. I've actually had some bad luck in terms of getting the Street Strange by Moonlight. Normally it's pretty easy to find. Alright, and more Glover and Glover business. I'll spare you that reading again. Okay, so I guess the question is, what do I want to summon? So if I bring up a hint or a Maid in the Mirror, then I give myself a fascination or a dread threat, which isn't the end of the world, right? You know, it arguably it would actually be quite a good thing for me to generate those, because they're inputs to my my work. In this case, though, I think probably there's a better argument for me summoning something like a. So, if I'd wanted so I was thinking like Raw Prophet, but that's a little more Grail oriented. And so, it's sort of, I think it potentially, like basically it winds up overlapping with a lot of things that I can accomplish through other means, potentially more simply through other means. So, let's say I don't want a Pocket Fascination or Dread. That really, to me, leaves the Percussagant. And the main reason for that is the Percussagant doesn't leave any negative side effects when it goes away. It is edge for a part of it, so I tend not to be very violent in the way that I pass certain obstacles. But Heart is very useful in some cases. So when you're dealing with a curse, being able to just have a Percussagant. So like the Percussagant serves two really useful purposes. One, it's sort of a frontline, I'll call it a frontline unit. So if something goes wrong on the expedition, you don't feel bad if you lose a Percussagant, but you do feel bad if you lose a follower. And then when you do run into a curse, you know, you've got a Percussagant, and then you add just another Heart follower, and you know that you've got your best chance of being able to get past it. So overall, it's kind of the safest choice. So we'll take the Formula Vigilant, and let's bring Rose, our remaining Edge Disciple. Summon the creature, the Thunderskin. The Percussagant, merciless and merry. Heart will bring it, Edge will constrain it. And of course, there's always the chance the summoning goes wrong. So we can't necessarily say that we're guaranteed to be going on the expeditions. It's looking very likely that we're in a position to be able to start the journeys. We'll still do one more trip to Glover and Glover because it's going to take a while for the expedition to actually generate the notoriety. But once we do start generating notoriety, I'm going to have to stop showing up to Glover and Glover, and instead I will translate that notoriety into paintings. Okay, another Season of Despair. I think in this case it won't generate another one because this Bleak Thoughts will be on the table at the time that it tries to generate one, and it's unique. But we should prepare just all the same. Mirrors are calm, the sun is steady, the glory recedes. I'm saying if that means anything. No fascination drives your visions, it's over for now. Of course, the one thing that is a worry is I don't generate the... if I don't generate the fascination in time. So of course I could take the Splendor, but that's really a cop-out. That would be the second time that I've wasted the Peacock Mirror. So let's go to the Red Church. I can't afford the Dread from the Worm Museum. As it turns out, the Vagabond's map would have been there, so a shame. When one dreams of the Red Church, one hears the voices of the Grail's names, the Thirstleys, the Ivories, and the Lovelies, and the rest. Not all Empausi are women, they might be heard to say. The hungers of women run no deeper than the hungers of men, but a mother is never far from her child at its birth, and that is not always true of a father. Come closer, and we'll show you what we mean. Alright, so this means the talk verb is going to be occupied with the repair of the Wildering Mirror. Again, we've got the Bronze Spintreia, so we might as well use them. I'm probably going to be delayed a little bit on... Is there a point of going through the Stag Door? Potentially to generate a... Potentially generates a... Oh wait, we still want Fascination, so... yeah. It does also potentially generate lore, but Fascination is actually more useful to me right now. Not often you hear me say that. Alright, so Rebellious Spirit. The summoning is struggling against my control. I could use Reason to dismiss it safely, which is always reliable. I could try to reassert control with Passion, which is not reliable. Or I could let what will happen happen. In this case, I think Reason is fine. So again, this does sort of set us behind. I know we've only got about 5 minutes left on this. But this is a safer option, and I have no reason to believe I'm not going to be able to do further summonings in future. I mean, if nothing else, I'm just sitting on all of this extra stuff here, which I could use as well. Oop, there's the Street Strange by Moonlight. So it does mean there's going to be a little bit of, yeah, there's going to be the passage of time with the Callagine, but we can work with that. Street Strange by the Hour called the Miniscate. This is potentially going to generate the fascination for me, which is what I want. Although I'm going to be running into... you're going to see me sort of all disheveled from trying to control my summoning. Running into Glover and Glover. It's gone. We're safe. So Trembling Air is not enough to summon a Percussagant with, but it's actually not bad timing because we've got the Season of Sickness coming up, so this is going to turn into a Vitality before too long. Not intentional, but still a nice side effect. The days are past where I could head home after lunch. My colleagues have begun to suspect what I am. They know nothing of what I could be. So again, the thing that's nice about Street Strange by Moonlight is that it has the potential to generate a lot of things that I want. So in this case here, Fascination is what I was looking for. I'm going to hit it again. There is the chance that I get more Fascination out of it, but it does potentially generate Knock, which of course gives me the option to summon the Percussagant again. So there's of course the danger that I have another Fascination, but I have a Fleeting Reminiscence to deal with that and a soon-to-be open Dream Slot. So visions pass me with Pavane Grace, a window over a wood, a garden of ice, a shivering sun, a woman of glass. I will return home with reluctance. Now the good news is that we're not going to have to rely on Fascination forever, so it's worth remembering that the reason why I'm doing it this particular way is I wanted to... So I can move my headquarters to Moorlands. Moorlands is going to give me a library. And one of the reasons why I'm doing it this way is when I generate a big stack of notoriety from going to a bunch of different expeditions, I can eliminate that notoriety by moving headquarters. Whereas if I remove headquarters now, I don't have any notoriety I'm trying to get rid of. And I'm currently sitting on a lot of money, so it's not like I can afford to go away from Glover and Glover. So it's not super necessary, but I do know there's this liability that I'm generating. And in fact, I'll probably be generating money through using my notoriety to paint. So in this particular case here, it just means that I'm able to sort of maintain a little bit better during the expeditions, and I get this one opportunity to just sort of wipe the slate clean. That's one of the reasons why I'm being a little more particular about the order in which I'm doing this. But of course, it's still nice to try and get as many upgrades as I can, and that's the reason why I've been really insistent on using that Fascination. All right, well that's a little bit of a problem. A bitter atmosphere. Winter passes the clothes, passes the skin, nestles in the veins. A 10th order influence. I visited the Ascent of Knives last night, that harshest of roads through the house. It has been sacred to the Meniscate and the sun in rags since the intercalate, when the true sun was divided. When I woke, my room was freezing. The chill of it had cracked the window glass. So I don't want to be too insistent about the Percussagant. Like, there are things that we can do with Fascination. Sorry, not with Fascination. There's things that we can do with like a Maid in the Mirror with Winter. The Callagine... See, the thing is, Callagine does have Forge, so for things that generate... Most of the things that I would need Winter for, the Callagine can handle. I suppose the Restless Dead would be an example of something that the Callagine can't. So I suppose I'll have to learn to live with it. I guess the question is, do I want to wait 18 seconds to go to the Peacock door, or do I want to try and go through the Stag door again? I think we'll wait. Although it feels bad to have the Callagine just hang out like that. So yeah, in this case, I think I'm going to risk summoning something from Winter. And we will... we'll just deal with the fascination when it emerges. So, Wisdom is a country, and these are its maps. We will... dream of the Peacock Door. In my dreams I know the path through the glass garden to the Peacock's Door, the most admirable of doors, the door which shines like a mirror. Perhaps with the right resources I can pass it. Okay, we've got a contentment. Is there anything I want to do with exploration right now? Let's keep the Callagine from expiring. This will probably be the last trip that I send the Callagine on. The rest of it's going to be... We're just going to be sort of in a holding pattern until the summoning. So we're not worried about this because we'll get our vitality in a second. I don't want to hire anybody, and we have a Season of Suspicion coming up. Okay, this might be my last shift at Glover & Glover for a bit. So again, we'll use the Sunset Rite. In this case, let's bring Enid in for the summoning. And so if I add Edge, Heart, or Forge... Wait a minute. Heart. Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting about the Voiceless Dead. So I think the Winter and Forge, if I'm not mistaken, is the Callagine. Yep. And then the Edge is the Maid in the Mirror. So, Deep Winter's cold to name and draw... to name and draw the Maid in the Mirror. Edge to match her keen cruelty. And these will roughly end around the same time, so good news there. So Fleeting Reminiscence is going to go away, but we have other ways of handling this fascination. This is a puzzle with missing pieces. I might find those pieces in odd corners of scholarship. And we don't have a Season of Visions coming up, so that will also help me out. I suppose that's the end of our time together, but let's run our we'll run our timers out. There's some stuff that's going to come up, so I might as well just get myself set for the next turn. So again, I did say I would be behind if I didn't start my expeditions. Technically, I'll be starting them now, so that's good. Now, I've been operating under this assumption that the Secret Histories alternates between the War Museum and the Red Church. The thing is that I don't have enough observations to say if that's a reliable insight. I seem to recall that the last time I tried, I couldn't discern a clear pattern. But let's try it. All right, well, I'm happy about that. This actually means I'm going to potentially have to delay my trip twice just so that I can get those lone and level sands. But this is a good reason to delay. So the Vagabond is the 1 hour who can never enter the Mansis, but she goes everywhere else. And if you believe her boast, she's the only one who knows all the histories. Sometimes she lets someone record her travels. Right. I saw the Red Church again last night, with its pews of bone, the stained glass and shades of ruby, the golden altar that beats like a heart. That night the names of the Grail gathered to speak of those long who'd sworn off the pleasures of the bedchamber, say between a man and a man, or a woman and a woman. They still pay the tribute of delight, an Ivory said. They do not bear fruit, a Lovely said. If Forge and Sun had only joined, a Thirstly lamented. Then they all fell to gossiping of the long in the House of Leaf, and their deeds in the desert. I remember it still. Okay. I think I want to keep the talk. So one thing I would normally do here is take the talk verb and and just get that mirror repaired. I'm not going to do that in this case for the simple reason that I'm probably going to need to use the talk verb to maintain the Callagine and the Maid in the Mirror. Again, remembering that we now have a Vagabond's map to explore, and we'll have a second one given what's happened with our revelation. So again, this is a little bit of an inflated episode, but we're almost done. All right, better not. I must be careful of the company I keep, and we can actually talk with the Callagine right now. The river, wrote the sage Mech in the Book of the Centipede, runs through the lands out of myth and into legend. This is the place the centipede was born, they say. The sands of which Mech wrote hide perilous curiosities. And hopefully in 6 seconds we will have a Maid in the Mirror and not a struggle for control. Excellent. The thing that was a woman has no expression of her own. The movements of her eyes and mouth always match mine, as if I were looking in a mirror. Her fingernails are as sharp as glass. The ascent is glass, the walls are knife, each step is blood. The dead who rest before a new cracked mirror, who pass through the peacock gate, who master the sharp stair, those dead enter the service of the sun in rags. So we will get the maid in the mirror to talk to the Callagine. I'm actually going to head back to Glover and Glover. That's just because it's an opportunity to earn a little more money before we start going on the expedition. But we're pretty much ready to go. So I know we're about 5 minutes over, so I will have to wrap it up here. But basically, once we're going to have 2 minutes before we start our next expeditions. It's going to be 51 seconds so that we can get our second Lone and Level Sands. The study will finish by then, so another minute to get our third Lone and Level Sands location. We will be, our summons won't be expiring because they're going to be talking to each other. And then we're going to send people out to an expedition. So essentially what's going to happen here, we've got 5 and 3. So that's going to be 8 locations. That's going to be 8 notoriety that we generate. We're going to be generating studies. We're going to be generating paintings. And with that big stack of 8 notoriety, assuming that it isn't already taken up by a season of suspicion, we are going to sweep it all away with a move to a new location afterwards. So depending on what we find in the Lone and Level Sands, we may also have some things that will sort of enhance our ability to get things done more quickly. But once we move to a new location with a library, it's going to be considerably easier to work with these unresolved ambiguities and get the remaining locations in the Lone and Level Sands. But I've definitely trespassed a bit on your time, so as always, thank you very much for watching. If you are not subscribed, do feel free to hit the subscribe button. It does help me out. I, of course, always appreciate the comments, the likes, all of those lovely things that you do. And of course, if you don't want to be notified of all of the stuff that I put up, these videos will always be up at 6:30 on Wednesdays and Fridays. So I hope you all enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you next time.